There are two types of people you should be very afraid of in life and in business. The first ones are people who don't like dogs. Please run away from them. The second ones are vegans. The second ones are people who don't like spaghetti and meatballs. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make some of the most delicious and exquisite and hopefully the juiciest meatballs you've ever had. And later on in the Entrepreneur's Pantry, keeping up with the theme of balls, we're going to be talking about courage and practical ways to grow a big pair for your life and your business. If you're an entrepreneur who likes to stay under the covers or a cook who doesn't like to get your hands dirty, this is not for you. Otherwise, it's going to be an amazing show, so stick around. Welcome to Perfect Monday's Entrepreneur's Kitchen, where you get to learn how to make amazing meals and how to scale your business with a lot more joy and a lot more purpose while working half the time, all in one show. Today, we're gonna be making a massive feast, spaghetti and meatballs. There's a lot of ingredients, so let's get to it. Like any good business strategist, we're gonna apply some of that in the kitchen, and we're gonna separate this in two categories. We're gonna be talking about the ingredients for the meatballs and then the ingredients for the sauce and the pasta. So for the meatballs, we're gonna be using 1 pound of pork and 1 pound of ground beef. Then we're gonna be using 2 whole eggs, Parmigiano Reggiano. Please don't use any of the shredded crap kind that you buy in a jar. Buy the real deal. We're also gonna be using Ricotta cheese. This is gonna make the meatballs juicy and moist. We're gonna be having almost 1 cup of breadcrumbs, garlic, salt and pepper, olive oil, red pepper flakes, and flour. Now for the sauce side, we're gonna be using Italian tomatoes. This is like a 28-ounce jar. They're delicious and amazing. I highly recommend them. We're gonna be using fresh basil. For our sofrito, we're gonna be using red onion, celery, and carrots. Now, this is pretty large. We're gonna be using about half of it. Don't be scared. We now know why people become vegans, and it's because of fun-sized vegetables like this one. We're gonna be using dry pasta, 2 cups of vegetable broth, and oregano. So some of these things we're gonna have to prep. We're gonna have to crush the tomatoes. We're gonna have to dice the red onion, half a carrot, and the celery, and we're also gonna have to mince the garlic. I know I say this all the time, but when you're prepping your food is when you put so much of the love into it, and also when you start being present with your actions. Enjoy this process. Let's get started.
Hyper-focus my attention on you, baby. A selfish new dimension in my mind. You're exotic like a diamond. I can't shake you. My sticky Aunt Jemima, sugar high. Ooh, la la. Can I get a pure injection of you? Ooh, la la. I just wanna drink you down. Ooh, la la. I'm telling you, I just can't live without you. I need you right now, 'cause you got me going. Gimme, 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 gimme that lovin'. Want you to let me get a cherry on top. I've got this.
So we've got all our ingredients prepped and chopped, and if you were paying attention, you probably noticed that I failed to mention one magical ingredient, and that is freshly chopped parsley. We're gonna use anywhere from half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. Now, before going on, I also want to tell you that I have nothing against vegans. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me today. At one point in my life, I used to be a vegan. But also, before continuing, here's my last vegan fact of the day, I promise. How do you spot a vegan when you're meeting new people? They'll tell you within 30 seconds. So now we're gonna put everything together, and for this, we're gonna start by adding the 2 egg yolks. This is about 3/4 of a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano, parsley, the delicious ricotta cheese. This is what's gonna make it super juicy and moist. We're gonna add the breadcrumbs, 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 2 large garlic cloves. We're gonna have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, about a teaspoon of pepper. And now to put some magic into this, we're gonna mix with our super clean hands. We're gonna start mixing this.
Gimme that love. Let me get a cherry on top.
And now we are ready to start making the meatballs. We're gonna use 1 tablespoon as a scooper. And one technique that might be really helpful for you is if you start measuring them first and placing them on your baking sheet and then rolling them up. Let's get to it. We have 44 small meatballs, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some flour, roll them around, and then we're gonna brown them. They're not gonna be completely done, we're just gonna brown them first, and then we're gonna finish them up in the sauce. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these amazing meatballs, we're gonna put some olive oil, turn these into medium low, and then we're gonna brown them. I wish you could be in my kitchen sniffing these amazing meatballs. The aroma is pretty delicious. Now we're gonna start making the tomato sauce, and we're gonna finish cooking the meatballs in the tomato sauce. But before we start doing that, we're gonna go to the Entrepreneur's Pantry, where we're gonna be talking about how to have more courage and grow a big pair for your life and your business. Welcome to this week's Entrepreneur's Pantry. The topic that I have to share with you today has been acting like rocket fuel for my life and my clients' lives, and it's one of the things that I can attribute to my success, my relationships, and everything that I've been able to build in my life. And we're talking about the big C word, courage. Now, there's 2 misconceptions about courage that I want to get off my chest right from the start. The first one is that courage is not a feeling. If you learn nothing from this episode, learn this. Courage is an action. Courage is a verb. Courage is activated only when you do something about it. The second thing is that you can't hold on to courage. Courage is more like a muscle. You have to work at it and condition it. So with this said, what I love to do is I want to share with you some stories and then help you apply it in your life. In 1999, I was exploring which city I was going to move into to launch my music career, and I decided to spend all my money to a ticket to a music conference in Miami, where I was going to be meeting people from the music industry. Now, I had no representation, I was representing myself. Even back then, I knew that I needed to test the environment, so I went to LA, I went to New York, and I went to Miami thinking, could I see myself living in the city? Are there opportunities for me for the music industry? And if you can remember what was happening in 1999 with the Latin music explosion, everything was happening in Miami. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. So I'm at this music conference, and one day I'm staying at this really crappy hotel in North Miami Beach, and I'm taking a bus to the conference because I have no money. So I had the thought, I'm gonna meet Rudy Perez. At that time, Rudy Perez was one of the hottest producers you could meet for the Latin music. He produced Christina Aguilera and a bunch of other people. And even though he wasn't part of the conference, I just had this hunch that I wanted to meet him. That day, after finishing one of the conferences, I get out and I overhear someone next to me saying that the word Rudy Perez, and I asked him, do you know him? I said, you know, he's gonna be at this hotel, like a hotel that was also in Miami Beach. So I said, I need to meet this guy. I'm gonna go to that hotel and find out what's going on. And I approach that hotel, and first obstacle is there's a bunch of people, there's security, and it's a pretty private event. And then I say, shit, this is my opportunity. I grab my pass from the conference, which has nothing to do with this event. I approach the person in front and I said, my name is Chris Abre. I'm a reporter and they're waiting for me. So he says, hold on a second, we're gonna check on the list. So he checks on the list and I'm obviously not there. He says, I'm sorry, I can't find you. I'm like, dude, my name is Chris Abre, I'm a reporter, they're waiting for me, and I'm so fucking late, they're gonna kill me. Sure enough, he sees my desperation, probably my commitment and resolve, and he didn't even check my past. That's how committed I was to my role of being a reporter. He said, go ahead. The moment he says go ahead, I'm already in the room, and there's so many people, I weave myself through to the other side, because at any moment now they're gonna realize I'm a fraud, they're gonna kick me out. So I go all the way to the other side of the room, I turn around, and sure enough, in front of me, a few feet away, is Rudy Perez. Here's the guy who's produced Luis Fonsi and Christina Aguilera and so many people that I admired, and I said, now I need to talk to him. Well, how do I do it? I started looking for people, and I suddenly realized there's a woman who seems to be somewhat influential, and I started weaving myself through to hear her, and I realized that's Rudy's wife, Betsy. And I said, shit, I'm gonna have to meet this woman. So I go, introduce myself, give her my demo. She gave me the contact information for Rudy's assistant, and that was that. It never went anywhere. They never listened to my stuff. But it gave me a taste of what I can do when I have courage. And so we fast forward to about a year, and I'm living in Miami with my wife, and I'm invited to a party. And I'm told that sometimes famous people go to these parties. A good friend of mine invited me. So sure enough, in the middle of the party, I see like an entourage of people, and Sofia Vergara was there, and Quique Santander was there. Now, Quique Santander, if you know anything about the Latin music industry, he was the guy to meet at that time. He produced Santana, J-Lo, a bunch of really amazing acts as well. So I was crapping my pants, but I remember that I had already done something difficult before, and I'm still like hesitant. My friend tells me, in these type of events, he doesn't know who you are. You're a peer right now to him. Just go and introduce yourself. And really what made it for me was the thought of me going back to my apartment in North Miami Beach and telling my wife that I didn't have the guts to talk to this guy, even though I had a golden opportunity. And my heart just sank, and I said, fuck no, I need to go talk to him. So I approached him and I said, hi Kike, my name is Chris. I am a songwriter. And I started telling him my story, and within 1 minute he sees I'm pretty excited, like, that sounds great. I'm gonna give you the number for my creative director. Please reach out to him and have him listen to your material. His name is Carlos Nieto. Now, that guy, Carlos Nieto, is still my friend over 20 years later. He lives in France now. But the point of the story is that I took action, and that transformed my life. This guy, Carlos Nieto, after 6 months of insisting and calling him every single week, he listened to my material and he signed my first song and then my second song. But most importantly, he started mentoring me in the music industry and in songwriting, so I had a better chance of getting signed. That decision changed my life. Now, how does this apply to other things, right? We talked about Lauren Brill, my friend that owns Sweet Lawrence. There's a free masterclass on the Caesar salad episode. If you go to that, underneath the link, there's a masterclass with her. Well, she talks about how she made Hoda, and she got into the morning show because she had the guts to talk to her first and introduce herself. This is the same principle that I used when I met one of the top guys, VP of Mergers and Acquisition from Procter & Gamble, and who was also the CEO for ventures for that company when we were looking for funds, by having the courage to send him a video and introduce myself, and we had a conversation because of it. It's the same principle that I used when I got someone who wanted to invest $2 million in one of my ideas. The same principle that my mom used by sharing some of my music and my grandfather's music to someone who at the time was incredible artist and jazz. He died. His name is Charlie Hayden, and she had the guts to, after a concert, approach him with some sheet music, and Charlie Hayden ended up making an album that won him a Grammy because my mom had the courage to reach out to him. So courage is impactful. Courage can change your life, and you never know which of the actions that you take will actually be the one that gets you to the next level. And if you see my excitement, it's because I'm truly passionate about this subject. If you have a friend that said, hey, join me tomorrow for an ultra marathon, would you join him if you hadn't practiced? You'd say no, you'd stop yourself. Well, how are you doing this with courage? I want you to think about, when was the last time you felt super courageous? What are some of the most amazing things you've done where you've surprised yourself, where you feel really proud of? And I want you to embody that. I want you to visualize yourself doing those things every single day for 3 minutes a day, no more. 3 minutes a day in the morning or at night. And when you are activating that courage, when you have the opportunity to join the ultramarathon, when you have the opportunity to make the call, you're 1,000 times more likely to do it because you've been practicing and you're fit for success. So this week, I want you to practice courage. What are the elements that are stopping you? And what are some practical ways that you can lift the emotional weights, so you're fit for your life. Now let's get back to the kitchen and finish that amazing spaghetti and meatballs.
Where you go, I can be the light to guide you.
Welcome back. I hope the Entrepreneur's Pantry was helpful, and now we're ready to start making the sauce. We're gonna put the sofrito. If you remember, sofrito is red onions, celery, and the carrots. We're gonna fry it. Once it gets going, we're gonna add the garlic, mix it really well, fry it just a little bit, then add the tomatoes, salt, oregano, pepper, and before we add the meatballs, we're also gonna put the vegetable broth. And then we're gonna let it simmer here for about, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes so it's well cooked. Let's get to it.
That silver lining to the story. If you thought that I would turn and run, then y'all don't know me. May my fears rest in peace, cause that's a old me. Got this taste on my tongue, I crave the glory. Gasoline in my veins, be the fuel through my pain. As we rise from the flames.
This has been simmering for about an hour, and it's gone down significantly. Come take a look. And this still has a little bit of ways to go, but it's pretty much ready for us to start making the dry pasta. We're gonna boil some water. Many people make the mistake of not adding enough salt. How do you know there's enough salt? You add the salt, you mix it, and then you taste it. And if it tastes like a chicken broth in terms of the level of salt, then you know it's well salted. When it starts bubbling, when it starts boiling, then we add the pasta, we make it all fit in, and then we bring down the level so it just simmers. It doesn't have to bubble a lot for it to be cooking well. And we're gonna make this al dente so it's perfect for the meatballs.
Monster that's inside you. I don't buy into the luck. I put my faith and my trust in my team, everything that we done been.
This spaghetti is bronze cut. Check it out when you buy it. It means that the way that it's cut is not with Teflon, and the pasta sauce will adhere better to it. So I highly recommend, if you're gonna be making pasta with sauce, buy bronze cut pasta.
Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Pound on your chest like there's no tomorrow. Just play the game right, no one can follow. Oh, it's time to fire on up.
This is it. We have persevered, and this amazing, miraculous dish has come to fruition. And now it's time to serve it. And to do that, we're gonna put a little bit here, and then we're gonna cut some basil in a very rustic fashion. We're gonna add olive oil, Parmesan cheese, and then we're gonna try it. Basil, we're gonna cut it with our hands in a very rustic fashion. We're gonna add some Parmigiano Reggiano. And we're gonna drizzle just a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna clean. The moment we've been waiting for, it's time for me to taste this amazing feast. Last week I felt like What About Bob in the dinner scene when he was just moaning. This made me feel like Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally at the diner scene. However, I did not fake it. This is superb, fantastic, exquisite. The pasta is perfectly al dente and it's perfectly salted. By the way, you never ever rinse pasta. That's why you have to salt it well from the beginning. The meatballs are juicy, flavorful. You can taste the ricotta and the Parmigiano. You can taste a little bit of the heat of the red pepper flakes. It's perfectly salted. It's browned on the outside, juicy on the inside. This is quite the feast. If you ever want to wow your guests or your family or any friend, this is a winning recipe. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I want to remind you to use your courage this week. To grow a big pear, you have to activate your courage. Courage is a verb. And until next time, remember to love your life, love what you eat, and love your business. If you like this episode, please like it and subscribe to my channel. If you're a woman entrepreneur and you want to scale with a lot more joy and purpose while working half the time, there's a link underneath the description of this video. Just click on that and we can connect and explore if we might be a good fit to work together. You like the sound?
No.
I wish you could be in my kitchen with this delicious aroma. Oh my god, let's keep rolling.